Hey, what's up guys? So we are here talking about Marvel's Avengers, going over an overview and a review and my thoughts on the game in its current state. Keep in mind I'm reviewing this game in the beta form. The game is coming out very soon, but this is technically an earlier build of the game. So I had a lot of you guys come into my live stream and were asking a bunch of questions, and a lot of you guys probably also have the same questions, so I'm going to go ahead and answer these rapid fire fast. And so the game is going to cost money. It is a $60 full price game, although there will be more content, as this game kind of seems like it wants to be a games as a service, as in there will be more content coming out. Specifically, Spider-Man will be coming out later down the line. However, some heroes might be locked to specific platforms, as in Spider-Man is only available for PlayStation, so keep that in mind just in case you wanted to pick this up on another platform. I am playing this, just as a heads up, on the PS4 Pro. I am running it on the smooth setting. There's like a higher resolution form, but I'm playing it on the fastest one. And even then, I am seeing some frame dips, but this could be due to optimization, so keep that in mind as well, as it's technically still a beta. But again, the game's coming out very soon, so I hope a lot of these issues with the game running as smooth, or I guess not as smooth, as some people would want it to be, it could be optimization. But anyways, this game is a hack and slash game with some looter elements. It's mostly going to be a hack and slash game. The loot in this game, if you're looking for like a Diablo or Path of Exile, where these items are going to completely change your builds up, it's mostly just a stat number change, as in like you're just going to be dealing more damage with melee, or when you're lower on health, you'll just gain some extra health. It doesn't really change up the game. It doesn't have what would be considered uniques, at least in the beta, where you're going to be able to completely change a build with, let's say, you use your health as mana, or something completely build changing. Like, it's more so just a casual oriented game, and there's still a lot of fun to be had with that, but I'm just saying there's not going to be some crazy depth with the skill tree like you might want with, let's say, Path of Exile. Because when I originally saw that this game had looter elements, I was really curious to see where they would go with this, and it's mostly catered towards casual. Like, bigger number, okay, pick this one, okay. But in terms of the game's PvP, at the moment, there is no PvP mention. So if you wanted to go ahead and battle other players, there's no mention of PvP in the game. They maybe will later down the line add some sort of a leaderboard. It'd be cool to see if they add a mode where like you get to race against other players, and if you beat them, you get to get a chest at the end or something like that. That'd be cool. But there's no PvP in the game. So if you're looking for that, that's not really the game. The game's missions are primarily go over here and basically stand on this objective or kill these enemies. Some missions will have boss fights, which are actually quite cool, but not every mission has a boss. In fact, some of the missions you'll go in, and at the very end you're killing something that doesn't even move, like a server or just something that's stationary, and then you go back to an elevator and it says mission complete. I really wish they added some sort of like ending to a mission where you get to open up a chest or something along the lines of that. But in terms of the available missions that we did have access to the beta, here is what we had access to. There's not that many missions, as you guys can go ahead and see. Heck, and the helicarrier, which has these harm modes, which is basically just fighting off waves of enemies. Those are 3 of them over there, so I'm hoping that the game isn't going to feel too repetitive. But there are technically boss fights, and I want to go and show you guys some gameplay of a boss fight over here. And they are quite cool. There's like this little pattern system. The AI might look really dumb in here. I do got to mention this. The AI cannot function in some circumstances on certain areas of elevation, specifically like on this warbot. You're supposed to go towards like the top and then like jump on it. The AI isn't programmed to do so, so they'll just run around on the bottom. This is actually a pretty big issue because the AI is literally not doing anything, and it's actually really unfortunate that during the beta, if you played with someone and they would disconnect, it would just kick everyone out. And I really doubt during like the ending boss fight, my teammate would just be like, alright, I'm turning off my console right now. More than likely they disconnected because the game isn't stable. It's a beta. I'll be a little bit lenient on the game, not running 100%, and errors happen, bugs, they get kicked out of the game. But it really sucks for the other players that didn't, get kicked out of the game. They all just gotta go right back to the lobby right in the middle of the game if one person loses their connection. Maybe they were the host or whatever the case may be. We're in 2020. Obviously, these kinds of things happen. If they leave, give us an AI and replace them, and then they can rejoin the game and then replace the AI that replaced them. That should be like a no-brainer with the game, but hopefully these issues will be fixed. But again, that's one of the main reasons why when I was playing the game, I just stuck with AI, is because I didn't want to risk one of my teammates right towards the very end disconnecting, and then kicking everyone back to the lobby. It's really, really frustrating, honestly. But again, I'll kind of let them get a slide on that. But that's what I want to go ahead and go over really quick. But in terms of the gameplay, a lot of it, again, is like, go here, do this. And again, it doesn't feel super rewarding at the very end for every single mission, which I feel like every mission should feel kind of rewarding. Some of the missions, they will have a little bit more story to them. But pretty much the first hour of this game really feels like it was made by like someone completely different, as it had like this story. It really felt really cool swapping between all the characters. But then you get to the missions, and the missions are just like, go here, go do this. This one's kind of an exception because of a cool boss fight at the very end, but a lot of them are very, very repetitive. In fact, because it's kind of one of those looter games, expect to have lots and lots of repetitive levels that are very similar, and you're going to be having to do some of these missions over and over again to, of course, do it on a harder difficulty, therefore getting some better loot. Now, that might change as, you know, they only gave us a little sliver of the game. Level 15 is currently max in the beta, which we've gotten. I don't know exact level of the gameplay here, but this was kind of a cool boss fight. It was in one of the levels. But in terms of like some pros and cons in the game that I want to go ahead and go into now that I kind of went over some of that, I want to go ahead and show off the gears, and like there's a kind of like this battle pass system. Now, one thing to mention with the gear, when you equip your gear, it doesn't actually change how your character looks. There are other skins that you'll be able to unlock, and more than likely you'll be able to probably buy them as like a microtransaction. There are things that you can unlock for completely free that are just cosmetic that will change the way that your character looks, which you're seeing over here. Now, one thing to take note of is there's lots of different things that you can get in the game. There's like might, which is going to be your melee damage. There's precision, which is your range damage. But there's also not only the items like power level, which you see over here where it says 30, but there's gear perks. In order to get these perks, you will have to spend resources and upgrade them. They'll basically be locked, as you guys will see here in a second. You can see that this vest over here, to get the next perk, I have to go ahead and unlock it. So when you get these items, it almost is like kind of like a way to identify an item, so to speak, if you play Diablo, although you see exactly what it is. But I haven't seen anything where it's negative, so there's no real reason why not to go ahead and upgrade it, unless of course you just want to save your resources for something better. But a lot of the times you'll see on all my pieces of gear it's might, and that's because I want to go ahead and make a melee build, as that's really the only viable way to play the game pretty much, as the range attacks in this game, you have to like stop, aim down sights, and then shoot. It's not fluid like Devil May Cry where you can just like shoot instantly and string your combos with your range to mix it in and have really cool animation canceling. The game kind of has some animation canceling, but don't expect Devil May Cry levels. Anyways, but yeah, a lot of pieces of gear that you'll see, I've just stacked might, and don't always think just because it has a higher power level that the item is better. I'm only going for melee damage, so if it doesn't have might, the piece of gear is almost worthless. But you can see that there are different outfits to go ahead and unlock in the game. And also there are these other artifacts. They're just mostly stat sticks. There's a major artifact, but we don't get to see that. Okay, so here are a bunch of the different skills that you can acquire. This is just on Black Widow. Now there are 3 different skill pages. However, they only show off one for the characters in the beta. I hope this changes later down the line and actually adds a lot more depth to it, because at the moment it's just adding another attack to a string of combos, or you can get a dodge, which a lot of the other characters will have too. It's really not that big of a deal, at least in the primary section. I'm hoping in the other skill pages we really get to kind of build our character to be completely different, as you just have 2 skills and then a ultimate. The skill tree, though, it does kind of open up the doors for more things, but it's not like a button that you push. It's not like on your, I guess if you want to call it a skill bar, it's just basically 3 of them, though. There is another thing that I want to go and show off, which is actually the comics. Now, these are super underwhelming. Some of these missions, you'll go ahead and get like a comic book, but look at these stats. We have very, very small, chances for this effects to actually happen, or it'll be like 0.5% resistance, which is such a low number. These need to feel a lot more rewarding in the game, and I really hope that they change this up. But look at this willpower over here. Willpower is basically health in the game. I don't know why they call willpower health. This is another thing. They should have kept it a little bit more simple, because the game just definitely has this like, oh, more numbers, select this one mentality, where it's supposed to be more for a casual audience. But at the same time, I don't know why they called willpower, because a lot of games will kind of consider that more like intelligence-based, maybe something along the lines of like magic, right? But again, it's basically your health in the game. Now there is also another thing in here, which I want to say might be tied to some sort of progression with some sort of microtransaction, as there is technically a battle pass that you'll be able to go ahead and unlock. Now these are on every single character. Now in the beta, they just give us access to all of it. I hope this is going to be completely for free. Maybe there is going to be like a free battle pass and like a paid battle pass. A lot of games do that these days, right? But you'll be able to get cosmetics, and it also gives you crafting material. And in some games, you know how if you get the battle pass, you get more XP. That can be something to be on the lookout for as well. But that's basically the gear portion of what I wanted to go ahead and show off. Now I'm going to go ahead and just play another mission here in the background. This one we actually have a real player, but the AI, hold on, let me actually play this really quick before I show this off. This is the AI of the Hulk. Do you see how he's just literally running into the wall? Along with Iron Man over here, they're just running into the wall, and then Iron Man just dies. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. So the AI in this game is really bad. That's one of the biggest cons that I want to go ahead and mention for the game. But again, a lot of the gameplay that I played when I was playing the beta from last weekend and this weekend, I didn't want to play with people because, again, the ADC, you lose all your progress back to the start. It's really frustrating, but again, it's beta. I'll be a little bit forgiving for that. But anyways, in terms of pros that I want to go over, you select the hero that you want at the start of the game, which is awesome. So that way the game doesn't load in, and you know if that one person doesn't get their hero, they don't just like leave the game. So I like that. It's a really cool feature. Now you cannot have like multiple copies of any hero, but it's cool that you get to select it before going in. And there is going to be more heroes coming out, so it's another thing I would consider a pro. I love the first hour of the game, and it really felt like a really good AAA story-driven experience, but that changed later on, and it's kind of going into more of the con here, but I feel like a lot of the missions feel very lifeless. But the combat is fun enough for most casual audiences. Again, it's not going to be animation canceling heavy or super fluid like Devil May Cry, where you get to string in a lot of things with your attacks, as a lot of the attacks just take too long to go ahead and activate. You can dodge a bunch of stuff and things will hit you off screen. They kind of give you some indication of being able to dodge it, but sometimes you're kind of locked into your animation with some of the characters and their strings of attacks. Since there is more skill trees with the characters, I will be a little bit more forgiving, because as long as the gameplay is good, the missions can be completely terrible, which is the biggest, I think, con in the game. Like, the gameplay feels good, there's a lot of heroes to choose from, and for the most part they do feel a little bit different. They also have their own set of like kind of mana. Hulk has this ability to basically regenerate HP and be a little bit stronger, but it drains his mana bar. And I like that. I like that the characters each feel a little bit different. However, some of the characters will feel kind of similar. Like, you can see Black Widow basically do web swings, which is going to be obviously similar. So there might be some overlap between some of the characters with some of their skills. But again, because we didn't get to see those other skill pages, I can't really, gauge on that, how different they're going to go ahead and actually be. The biggest con in this game is really the AI, as sometimes you just don't happen to have people to play with, or you don't want to play with them. The AI is like really, really bad, but like, I'm not going to complain too much about that, as I plan to play this game with some friends, so that'll make the game obviously more enjoyable. But again, some of the missions feel very, very meh. Like, again, this objective over here is just eliminate all 5 of these enemies, and then the mission's over. They're not particularly that much different than your basic enemy. They might absorb a little bit more damage, maybe do a little bit more damage, but for the most part, it's not like a boss fight like that Warbot, where it's a giant spider and you have to hop on top of it. I really liked that boss fight. That was cool, and I hope that every mission can have some sort of a boss fight or something to really end off on the missions, and I'm kind of getting into my cons over here, but I really feel like comics really need to be improved. Again, 0.5% of HP by collecting all 5 of these comic books, that's really weak. I want like some sort of really cool ability. Maybe make these, if you guys have played Diablo, I'm thinking like the Kanai's Cube, where you get to basically, if you get all these pages, you can get maybe some super legendary ability. Like, maybe you can activate your ultimate, anytime you want, but it drains like 10% of your HP every single time you do it. I want these really cool abilities to have a little bit more meaning to collecting these comics. Otherwise, it's just not as viable to go ahead and search out for these comics. It doesn't really make too much sense. I would say it's not really a looter sort of a game where the things that you get really matter. And I really wish your build was kind of more determined on some of the pieces of gear, other than, oh, you got this that has more precision. Okay, that just means your range attacks will be doing more damage. Again, this is how the mission ends. I was really surprised. This mission was like 3 minutes and 50 seconds long. Very, very fast mission over here. I'm gonna go ahead and show off like towards the end of the boss fight over here. But I'm hoping that we'll also be able to swap out our abilities, like you guys can see my abilities on the bottom right. I really wanted to go ahead and have more abilities for every single character that maybe we can select and choose from versus, oh, you get these 2 abilities on the ultimate and that's it. So I would like to see, again, a little bit more depth. Again, there is that second 2 other skill pages that we didn't get to see, but we'll have to wait and see if that actually lets us change our skills or if we're just kind of stuck with it for the entirety of the game. So overall, kind of wrapping things up over here, I did have fun. I really did enjoy the game, and I'm looking forward to seeing, what they add. By the way, with the sound is good for the game. The reason why I'm not playing it is because it has lots of copyrighted music, and they either A, gets your stream muted, or the video becomes blocked in certain countries, or whatever the case may be, copy strike. So that's why we're listening to Sonic Adventure 2 here. But in terms of the gameplay, I would say it's overall pretty good for most casual audiences. It's not going to be, again, super heavy animation canceling like Devil May Cry, which I wish the game was. Maybe they'll make some characters that really allow you to go ahead and do that, but that's not the sort of game that is oriented. It basically really needs to be able to let you use ranged attacks without having to aim down sights. That's a huge issue in the game, and I think the game will be so much better if you can kind of weave in and have these really cool movesets versus square, 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 triangle. Triangle, square, square. Like, I want to be able to go ahead and do these really cool combos, but again, I know it's made for more of a casual audience in the game. I feel like the only real complaint is the missions feel bad, most of them. A lot of them feel very busy. Go over here, stand on this, go here, kill this. And it's not like a kill this, kill an awesome boss at the end. It's literally kill a server that just sits there. It's not exciting to go ahead and kill 3 different little things that don't move, or just add a chest at the very end. So there's something to look forward to in the end of each mission. But I would say in terms of the builds, I would make it so there's not just numerical values, but a little bit more. Like, they do have things where it's like you gain HP after X amount, or you, if you do this, you'll gain some HP. But I really would like to see a little bit more build diversity and a little bit more creativity with the game. So I'm hoping they can go ahead and do that and not make the game feel as repetitive. But overall, I would say at the moment, I could easily give this game a 7. Like if I were doing numerical values. I know it's just a beta, but a lot of people ask, what would you give this game out of 10? I think that with the current issues that it has, it's still a really fun game, and I'd say anywhere from like a 6 to a 7 is pretty solid for it right now, but it really shows a lot of promise, and I could say that the game could easily be a 9 if they, have those other 2 skill trees and they're really good, and they make the game not feel as repetitive. I think the game would be a lot more enjoyable. But those are my personal thoughts. You guys can let me know yours down below. But I really wish they even just at least let us see those other 2 skill pages so we can basically have something to look forward to. But anyways, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours down below in the comment section below. But thanks for tuning in, and if you enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, subscribe, turn on that bell to see more Marvel's Avengers content when the game finally launches. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.